Now, the Assembly of State Parties kicked off today at The Hague with Kenya's agenda being adopted despite earlier resistance by ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda. We now cross live to The Hague in Netherlands, where our very own Hussein Mohammed has been following the proceedings of the day. Hussein, do give us a wrap of what happened today and specifically what the adoption of Kenya's agenda now means for Kenya going forward.
Right, Terry, and it was a very nervous wait for the Kenya delegation here at the Assembly of State Parties conference at The Hague, waiting to see if their agenda will be included in the general agenda of the ASP for the next 6 to 10 days or so that will be going on. Thus far, they have succeeded. That has been included, and it will be done through a general debate on Friday. Let me just recap for you and for our viewers what exactly this means. Kenya's agenda, of course, is first based on Rule 68 of the Rome Statute, which has to do with admitting or admission of prior recorded witness statements in a specific case. Now, as of the amended Rule 68 of 2013, it was agreed that prior recorded statements can be used in a given case without the need for cross-examination for both the defense or the prosecution. Now, the agreement then, according to the Kenyan delegation, was that this will be used but not retroactively, meaning Ruto and Sang's case, which was going on then, would not be affected by that. But then we saw about 5 witnesses in Ruto and Sang's case recanting their testimonies, saying, the prosecution, there were prosecution witnesses, they recanted their testimonies. The prosecution went and applied in court to have these testimonies still used either way, and it was agreed to. Now, that is the problem there. The bone of contention is, how was that agreed to? Yet this is, according to the 2013 agreement, it was that, according to the Kenyan delegation, the 2013 agreement was that this will not be used retroactively, meaning Ruto and Sang's case will not be used, it will apply in future cases. That is also pending in court because Ruto and Sang have appealed that. The second agenda for Kenya has to do with auditing the ICC witness procurement claims that have been said back in Kenya. Of course, it has been said that we had what Moses Kuria said. Raila Odinga also talked about it, that witnesses were procured and were quashed. That is what Moses Kuria said. It has a lot to do with Kosing's, David Kosing's, the Pokot South MP petition, which was to audit the prosecution system here, how they get or acquire their witnesses, so that the case, Ruto's case, can be suspended for 6 months. Kenya wants 5 independent jurists to be, we have 5 independent jurists so that they can now investigate what the prosecution does. Generally, oversight, Terian, of the prosecution. So that was agreed to. All that will come up here for debate at the ASP. The prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, also had her time here and took the opportunity to say that this should not be agreed to because the matter is sub judice. It is being heard right now by, determined by the appeals chamber of the court. Civil society, Terian, is also digging in on this matter, supporting the prosecutor's position. Francis Gashuri has been following that and now tells us more in his story.
The 14th session of the Assembly of State Parties to the Rome Statute got underway at The Hague, Netherlands, with the Kenyan delegation getting a reprieve after its agenda was admitted to the meeting's program. This was despite spirited opposition by the International Criminal Court's top brass and the coalition of civil society. Kenya wants the 123 signatories to the Rome Statute to review the use of Rule 68 of the Court's Rules of Procedure and Evidence on the use of recanted evidence. The Kenyan team, led by Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed, wants the prosecutor barred from using testimonies recorded by witnesses who have since withdrawn in the case against Deputy President William Ruto and his co-accused Joshua Arap Sang.
And we should always be made to feel welcome and be made to feel as equal members. This will only be possible if general principles of law are applied equally and applied fairly. To do otherwise, as we have seen, poses serious challenges to international peace and security.
The Kenyan agenda will be debated on Friday, and intense lobbying is on. The African Union backing the Kenyan agenda and accusing the ICC of being selective in its investigations and prosecution.
The ICC, whose establishment Africa strongly supported and advocated for, is no longer a court for all, but only to deal with Africans in the most rigid ways with lack of trust and respect of customary international law.
South Africa cannot and will not be silent in the face of serious flaws in some of the practices of our court, the ICC.
Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda has however warned the Assembly against deliberations that could infringe on the independence and jurisdiction of the court or water down its credibility in the pursuit of justice for victims of human rights violations and ending impunity, a position supported by Botswana and the coalition of civil societies from Africa.
The integrity of the court proceedings continues to be challenged. Matters that are either sub judice or have already been adjudicated must not be determined or undermined by virtue of discussions and decisions of states parties. States parties must stand firm by their commitment to the object and purpose of the Rome Statute. Discussions and decisions of the states parties must respect the separation of powers and the constitutional framework of the ICC in a manner that fully protects the court's independent judicial process and integrity.
The Assembly has two ways of killing the court. One of them is to allow Kenya and its threats. The other one is to disallow Kenya, and Kenya walks out with the other countries that will feel that this outcome was unacceptable to them.
At least 40 members of parliament are part of the Kenyan delegation at The Hague. They are part of the 190 members of parliament who appended their signatures in support of a petition filed by Pokot South MP David Kosing, seeking to suspend the Ruto Sang case to pave the way for the audit of how the witnesses were procured by former ICC prosecutor Luis Moreno Ocampo. Francis Gashuri, Citizen TV, at The Hague, Netherlands.
So Terry, and from the position of all the parties involved there, you can see that on Friday we expect a very, very hot debate here at the Assembly of State Parties conference.
All right, Hussein, thank you so much for that update. We will, of course, be catching up with you tomorrow just to hear exactly what happens. We are, of course, expecting some more of those heated exchanges. Citizen TV's Hussein Mohammed joining us live there from Den Haag.
Sorry for the rain. It's raining very heavily down there. We hope you guys keep warm, and thank you for the good job. Many SMSs coming in tonight, both from football front, others talking about what is going on with the measures to suspend, traveling. By somebody here says, Wakulam from Fangano says, fathers let us cut measures and suspend any further staff employment at both national and county levels. National government to redeploy excess staff to county government to avoid bloating staffing, hence increased wage bill. That is Isaac Onyango from Fangano. And very quickly, somebody says Nyamoya should be kicked out like yesterday. He's the cause of the deteriorating football in Kenya. What a shame of what happened to the national team.
All right, and we'll take a short break now. We'll be back with more right after this break. Remember, we are having the conversation about real estate in Kenya. Should you buy? Should you build? These are some of the questions that we will be answering. Do send us an SMS on 22422 and engage us on Twitter. The hashtag is Citizen Business.